on this special broadcast. Joining us is Ambassador Yashvardhan Sinha, a former Indian High Commissioner to the UK, Sri Lanka and a former Indian envoy to Venezuela. Ambassador Sinha, welcome to this special broadcast. Now, as the two leaders head into the delegation level talks, may I ask you for your opening comments, your first impressions of the PM's visit to Cyprus and your thoughts on how the visit is shaping up?
Thank you for having me, Ramesh.
Welcome.
And I would like to frame it in the context of what has happened in the recent past. You must realize that this is the first visit abroad of Prime Minister Modi after Operation Sindoor, and a first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Cyprus in 23 years. I think the last visit was by Prime Minister Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2002. Now, I think the previous speaker has probably spoken about the close links between Cyprus and India, long-standing links as founding members of the non-aligned movement. We have supported each other, not just bilaterally, but also in international fora. And in the particular context of Cyprus's geographical location and geopolitical importance, I think we are sending out a very strong message, not only to Cyprus and the European Union, who we have been engaging closely, but other countries neighboring Cyprus about where we stand as far as Cyprus is concerned and where our bilateral relations are headed to. And the sort of welcome that Prime Minister Modi has got in Nicosia, in Cyprus, is unprecedented. And I think we can look forward to much closer relations in all spheres between India and Cyprus. So as you're aware, Cyprus is assuming the presidency of the European Union next year and will play a very important role in India-EU relations. But bilaterally, as I said, we've had very close relations, and I think we will see an enhanced defense cooperation between India and Cyprus. And India has emerged as a major exporter of defense equipment and armaments and ammunition. And I'm sure Cyprus would like to avail of the critical technologies available in India in defense production. And I think some of our equipment, if I can put some of our arms and armaments, have proven themselves during the recent conflict with Pakistan. So I think the defense component is very important. The political component is extremely important because, as I said, Cyprus is assuming the presidency of the European Union. And given our long-standing links, I think it can be an entry port into Europe for Indian business, whether it's in fintech and whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in the services industry, in the IT and IT-enabled services. I think Cyprus has a well-developed infrastructure and market and can be utilized by Indian businesses in tie-ups with the larger European continent and the EU in particular. So I think this is the right moment for our Prime Minister to be in Cyprus, and he is headed to the G7, which again will be very important for India since this is his sixth visit, I think, to a G7 summit as an invitee. And I think India is a very valued and cherished partner as far as the other G7 countries are concerned.
Yes, Ambassador, do you also see Cyprus as a key link in IMEC? We know that there are tensions in West Asia, and hence we don't expect much insofar as West Asian component or Middle East component of IMEC is concerned. But do you think that, considering that there are so many ports in particularly the southern Mediterranean arc, and Cyprus, of course, is strategically placed, so do you see a lot of potential in terms of port-led infrastructure and shipping and more shipping of gas, for instance, because we know that Cyprus is sitting on a lot of volumes of gas and there is obstructionism again happening there by Turkey there. So do you think that in the context of connectivity and energy security, Cyprus could play a big role going forward?
Absolutely. I think it's very important because as far as the IMEC goes, I think Cyprus would play a key role. And as you mentioned, because the latest tensions between Iran and Israel and the very disturbed Middle East situation, we hope that this is passing phase, and matters would be resolved sooner than later, because for us, connectivity to Europe is very important. And there is a lot of emphasis on, in fact, you recall at the G20 summit, there was also discussions on this IMEC, and I think Cyprus will play an important role. As far as the hydrocarbons are concerned and gas, I mean, unfortunately, we have a situation where there has been an illegal invasion of parts of Cyprus in the Turkish-occupied territory of northern Cyprus, and they play an obstructionist role. And that is why I think India's relations with Cyprus, Greece, and other like-minded countries is extremely important, because I think a message needs to be sent to the right quarters that India is not a small country. India is not, it's a major economy, and the fifth largest, about to become the fourth largest by the end of the year. And I think if that happens, and then India is again slated to become the third largest in a few years, I think everybody is taking India seriously, not just economically, but politically, given its size and the role that it plays in international affairs. I think this visit is particularly significant, and any agreements that come out of this would need to be assiduously pursued by both sides, so that there can be a quantitative jump in terms of the relationship bilateral as well as multilateral through the EU. So I think Cyprus plays an important role there.
Before I go across to Professor Bharadwaj, Ambassador Sinha, since you referred to the ongoing Iran-Israel tensions, now besides Turkey, of course, Iran-Israel tensions also engage the attention of Cyprus and India alike. Do you think the bilateral talks might touch upon that issue as well? I ask you this because one can get a sense of the urgency and immediacy of the issue by looking at the geography of Cyprus. Now, Haifa in Israel is closer to Cyprus than, say, Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. And if one stands on the shores of Cyprus, you can actually see missiles flying over Israeli skies.
Absolutely. I think certainly the Iran-Israel conflict would feature in discussions, and an exchange of views on such an issue would be extremely beneficial, I think, to both sides. And as you're aware, India has good relations with Israel and Iran. And you mentioned Haifa, and I'm reminded of the role played by the Indian cavalry, the Jodhpur Lancers and others, during the First World War in 1918, liberating Haifa from Ottoman Turkish rule. And it was very important. People remember that even now. And I think India, as again, plays a very important role now as a major power. And I think India is in a position we have been advising restraint to both the combatants, both Iran and Israel. We have ties with both these countries. So I think you will see India playing an increasingly important role as time goes by in international affairs, in terms of not only resolving conflicts, but also because the fact that India's voice is heard in chancelleries across the world.